Hello YouTube! While you might not suspect it, today's video is in fact a collaboration video. This video is made in collaboration with the music channel that composed my very own soundtrack. But other than composing the Imperial Knowledge original soundtrack, he also composes his own music and a lot of Elder Scrolls related music. Today's video showcases some of his very own music, and I put the names of the music in the video. If you like the video and like its music, don't forget to visit his channel and maybe listen some more. I really like his music and I can highly recommend you checking him out. But other than talking about music, we are talking about the Mythic Dawn in this video. So let's immediately kick off with the story. The Daedric Cult that almost ended an empire and helped the Daedric prince Mehrunes Dagon with instigating the Oblivion Crisis and almost destroying the world as we know it. I'm talking of course about the Mythic Dawn. This order of zealots was convinced that the Aedra that we know, so the 9 divines, are in fact evil, and that they are oath breakers that betrayed Lorkhan. They are convinced that Mundus as we know it, so the plane that Nirn and Tamriel is in fact a plane of oblivion that used to be the plane of oblivion of Lorkhan before he was betrayed by the other divines. They see Mehrunes Dagon therefore not as a destroyer, but more as a concerned brother of Lorkhan that would like to restore true rule to Mundus and have revenge upon the Aedra. This whole theology led the Mythic Dawn cult down a path that would result in the Oblivion Crisis and would make them one of the most infamous and feared cults in history. The cult was led and presumably also founded by Menkaure Cameron, since there are no records of the cult existing before his birth. He, Menkaure Cameron, was the apparent son of the infamous Camoran usurper, on who I did a video. It is said that Menkaure Cameron was put into contact with Mehrunes Dagon, who then in turn for his loyalty rewarded Menkaure Cameron with the Mysterium Xerxes. This book, that was according to the Mythic Dawn written by Mehrunes Dagon himself, was filled with ancient and dark magical rituals and spells, and the book itself also contained power. Using the Mysterium Xerxes, Menkaure Cameron was able to create his own little pocket of oblivion, in essence his own little Oblivion realm. That was, according to some sources, even contained within the Mysterium Xerxes itself. This plane of oblivion, that he called Paradise, would later become a big part of his teachings, promising his followers that when they would die they would live their lives in Paradise, which was true. But for them it was not a paradise, as for deceased Mythic Dawn members, well, it was more of a true hell. Because they were put to labor in Paradise, and the Paradise was only a paradise for Menkaure Cameron and his family. So in essence, all the Mythic Dawn members we see there, and we see in Oblivion, or at least the majority of them, were mostly misled, as they will, well, when they die, they will live a miserable life in the afterlife. When he started his cult, he wrote 4 books in a series called Commentaries on the Mysterium Xerxes. These books were actually a big part of the cult doctrine, but also held clues for followers that told them where to find the cult and how to join the cult. Zealots from all over Tamriel that read the book and found the clues and agreed with the teachings of Menkaure Cameron found the cult, and over time the cult silently grew in the background and a plan started to form. For all the past ages, Tamriel had been protected against the Daedric invasion by the liminal barrier that protected Mundus against Oblivion. This barrier was held up by the ancient ritual that involved the Amulet of Kings, a Dragonborn Emperor, and relighting the dragon fires in the Temple of the One by that Dragonborn Emperor. For the cult to allow Mehrunes Dagon to invade and then fix Mundus according to them, they would have to make sure no Dragonborn Emperor would be left to rekindle the dragon fires, and no Dragonborn would be left to become Emperor. They saw their mission clear. Their mission would be to assassinate Emperor Uriel Septim VII and all his heirs, and then steal the Amulet of Kings from the Empire, so that no restoration of the dragon fires would even be possible. And as we know, they succeeded. and the Oblivion Crisis began. After assassinating all the remaining Septim Dragonborns and stealing the Amulet of Kings, Tamriel was invaded by the Daedric hordes of Marooned Dagon in what has now become known as one of the most deadliest events in all of Tamriel's history. The event later became known as the Oblivion Crisis, and basically all of Tamriel was in chaos during this point, and well, the provinces were in absolute chaos. However, the Mythic Dawn did not account for the fact that Uriel Septim VII had in fact an illegitimate Dragonborn son. As can be witnessed in the main questline of Oblivion, this son, with the help of the hero of Kvatch and the Blades, actually stopped the Oblivion Crisis, and they dealt a very powerful blow to the Mythic Dawn, as Paradise was invaded by the hero, and Mankar Cameron was slain. The Amulet of Kings was recovered, and in the end Dagon was stopped by Martin Septim. This rendered the Mythic Dawn cult powerless for the coming years, and forever in fact. In the years after the Oblivion Crisis, slowly the public became aware that the Mythic Dawn's involvement was in the crisis was actually bigger than most people perceived, and from the public some militant groups appeared to hunt members of the Mythic Dawn down. One of the fiercest groups was called the Keepers of the Razor. Originally they had been a nameless group, but after they found one of the Mythic Dawn's secret, well, sort of artifacts, Maroon's Razor, a dagger we can also find in Skyrim and which is, well, fairly powerful, they swore to keep this razor from ever landing in the hands of the Mythic Dawn or any Dagon follower ever again, and they became known as the Keepers of the Razor. They split the razor in 3 parts and they hid it in the families that in their cult. Eventually we can even find some of the descendants in Skyrim who have mainly forgotten what their duties were and why they're even keeping it, but they're still resistant to let it go. 200 years later, one of the remaining descendants of the Mythic Dawn opened a museum in the city of Dawnstar, in Skyrim. He had some of the last artifacts of the Mythic Dawn in his possession, and he collected them fiercely and are now on display in his house. He even recovered a single torn page of the Mysterium Xarxes. That descendant was ultimately killed during an effort of restoring Maroon's Razor for his museum using an ancient ritual involving Dagon, thereby ending all we know of the Mythic Dawn, as we don't know if there's any more descendants. Because if Silas, the guy that started the museum, survived, then possibly others could have also survived, but we have no other clues of that. Perhaps in Elder Scrolls 6 we will get some more clues as to what happened to the Mythic Dawn in the years after. But as far as we know, except for Silas, they were all killed off, and Silas is just a descendant. He never joined the Mythic Dawn himself. As we know, the Mythic Dawn is still kind of infamous on Tamriel. Most people still dislike the Mythic Dawn because of what they did so many years ago. As when Silas is trying to open his museum, it actually causes some public uproar, and someone in Dawnstar actually says, well, Silas, this is not a fact of celebration, and he says, well, I know I shouldn't celebrate the Mythic Dawn, but they were a big part of history. And therefore I sort of agree with the Mythic Dawn museum idea, because I think it would be able to educate people about the past. But on the other hand, Silas is just being, well, very pro-Mythic Dawn, and I don't think that's a good thing, but then again. This is in fact all we know about the Mythic Dawn, but however there is one last interesting piece of trivia. In Castle Volkihar, or from the Dawnguard DLC, in Lord Harkon's room there's a banner of the Mythic Dawn. It's just hanging there in his room. What could this mean? Was Lord Harkon ever a member or a follower of Dagon? I don't really think so, since he's actually a devout follower of Molag Bal, not Maroon's Dagon. But what could it mean? Did his island maybe get invaded by the Mythic Dawn or Oblivion, the forces of Oblivion during the Oblivion Crisis? Maybe he hung it up as a trophy? Or maybe he had some affiliation with the Mythic Dawn after all? I would love to hear your opinions, or if anyone knows anything about this, because I've searched far and wide and there's no dialogue or even anything on the internet that could point to what his involvement could be. With that said, I really hope that you liked this video, and I hope you liked the music that was used in the video. Do not forget to give the composer a visit, as he has a lot of great Elder Scrolls related music on his channel, and I absolutely love his channel, and I often listen to the music myself. He also has some older pieces that are more of like meditation music that I actually still listen to, where he takes you just to one location somewhere in Tamriel or any other fantasy franchise. and then you have just a couple of sounds that can immerse you in whatever you're doing in that place. And I actually used one of his meditation videos while writing this script, because it's very relaxing and it really stimulates your thinking. So other than just music, you can also find that on his channel, and I highly recommend you checking him out. But again, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more Elder Scrolls related content. I'm currently on vacation, so yeah, if you're becoming a Patreon, you have to wait a little bit for your name at the end of every video, as this video was kind of pre-made. Probably after the 23rd of August, and then more videos will appear that are once again completely recent. So, I hope you all liked the video, and I will see you all in the next Elder Scrolls lore video. Bye bye.